Om Shakti Hrim. Jai Guru Datta. Biography of Abhinavagupta and life description and his different books. The concept of two Abhinavaguptas. Acharya Abhinavagupta, the stotra writer, is a different Acharya from the namesake who was a Shakti Acharya in the same time of Shankaracharya, the founder of monistic Vedanta school. Abhinavagupta created Paradvaita school and Adi Shankaracharya created Shuddhadvaita school. Shankara, the Dvijaya of Acharya Madhava, is only one source of information about the other Abhinavagupta, which is described by a slight different name, Sukshma Shankara Vijaya, in the catalogue of Dr. Albrecht. It gives the following account of him. He was a resident of Kamarupa, Assam. He was a Shakti school follower and wrote a Shakti Bhashya, which probably is a commentary of the Vedanta Sutra of Badarayana to the Shakti point of view. He was a great opponent of monistic theory of Shankaracharya. A controversial discussion in Shastra Artha took place between the Shakti Acharya and Shankaracharya, when the latter went to Assam in the course of his victory, the Dvijaya. In that Shastra Artha he got defeat and so, in accordance with the current practice, accepted the disciplehood of the victor. Like the Abhinavagupta of Kashmir, his Shakti namesake also is referred to as an Acharya. One purpose is in giving the above account is the point of that if Madhava's testimony regarding the Shakti Abhinavagupta is to be considered true, he must not be confused with the Kashmiri Abhinavagupta of Shaiva school. A gap of 2 centuries lies between them. The first, if he was a contemporary of Shankaracharya, must have lived in the last quarter of the 8th century and the first half of 9th century. Because in accordance with the generally admitted source, Shankaracharya lived from 788 and to 1820. And the second, on the proof of the dates of creation of the Krama and Bhairava stotras and the Bhrati Vimarshini, given by the composer himself, belonged to the second half of the 10th century. Abhinava's parents, Narasimhagupta, the father of Abhinava, was called Shukhuwaka, who was a great intellectual power and had acquired proficiency in all branches of learning, and a great worshipper of Lord Shiva too. His mother's name was Vimalaka. Both of them were a pleasant couple and did the duties of house very well, not because of any worldly attraction, but simply because they were enjoined by tantric scripture. His mother was very pious, sincere to religion, and so the atmosphere of the family was completely religious and full of scholarship. In the light of above mentioned paragraph and supported by the stotra composer himself, the statement of Kaula's Shastri of Kashmir Research Department is introduction to Ishvara Pratyabhijna Vimarshinya. Kaula's statement is as follows. He received instruction in the Pratyabhijna Shastra from his father Lakshman Gupta, son of Narasimha Gupta and pupil to Upala. Beyond doubt, Lakshman Gupta, teacher of Abhinavagupta of Pratyabhijna philosophy, was surely not his father, and also there was no relationship of father and son between the Narasimha Gupta and Lakshman Gupta. According to the following statement of Abhinavagupta, Acharya Utpala was the father of Lakshmana Gupta. As a child, Abhinava was admitted in a primary school, situated very near of his house, just in second story. They also showed signs of his future greatness and impressed his teachers very much by his extraordinary mental power and fluency in speech. His name is ample testimony to that. It is to be noted here that the name Abhinavagupta Pada, by which the greatest scholar of the world is known, is simply not that which he was named by his parents, but that which he attained from his able teachers in a primary school time, for no other cause than that he was a super intelligent, and such was an object of fear, like a snake for his school friends. In accordance with the Acharya, the writer of the Bhagavad commentary on the Kavya Prakasha, means to convey by referring to Abhinavagupta as Abhinavagupta Pada in his book. Much due to this fact, Abhinavagupta himself refers in the following line as this in South India tradition prevalent among those who perform dancing in strict accordance with the rules laid down by the Bharata Muni in the Natya Shastra, that the Abhinavagupta Pada was the Shesha incarnate. This tradition is another explanation of the word Abhinavagupta Pada. This explanation perhaps is done by the higher authorities that he received, like the Mahabhaya Shankara Patanjali, because he full mastery in all of intricacies of grammars and his supplemental power and originality in explaining the tough grammatical questions. Because of his great proficiency in grammar, Abhinav himself states in the following line as in the above-mentioned line, both of the words, namely the Gehan and the Sam, are of the special importance. This tradition was originally accepted by the new generation because it was thought to have the support of his able teachers, also who provided him his nickname Abhinavagupta Pada, which without any doubt of contradiction can be explained as New Shesha, the second incarnation of Shesha. Great was his love of learning, endless and incessant was his endeavor for his acquisition. Knowledge for its own sake has his motto. This he was taught by personal example on one hand and precept on the other, as stated in Tantra Yoga. He gained that even also one may be faithful enough to receive a teacher who has gotten fullness himself and simply direct his path to his pupil too. Yet that is not enough cause for not going to the other teachers for the study Shava scriptures and other paths. This he has opened as the only cause behind this waiting upon the teachers of the other religions as like Buddhism and Jainism. He met to the finest teachers of his period in many subjects for the traditional and the most authentic information. By his humbleness and devotion he fully expressed his old teachers that they, because of great affection for him, taught him all mysteries of knowledge in the position, and completely he learned and preserved all that he was taught, and so well he impressed his teachers with his wide and vast study that all of his teachers declared him to be an all-around Acharya. So much indelible was his thirst for the knowledge that received all its most prosperous personalities in valley of Kashmir not enough to satisfy it. So he went out of the heaven to all of the east of India as well as the land of Kashyapa Rishi in search of Super Shula. Outside of his motherland, the Kashmir, how many places storied by him, and how many capable and learned teachers he met, no proof regarding this is available to mention. But it is beyond doubt that he visited Jaunhara, a place of Punjaba, and learned the literature of Kula system and many Kaulic practice with Shambhunatha, the best teacher of Kula school of his time, of course. This was the influence of Shambhunatha's teaching and the direction of Kaulic practice that he received perfect peace and self-realization. The list of his different teachers of different subjects is as Nasimhagupta, grammar, his father; Vamananatha, Dvaita Tantras; Bhutaraja, Brahmavidya; Bhutirajantanaya, dualistic communistic Shaivism; Vakshmanagupta, Krama and Trika Darshana; Induraja, Tantra Yoga; Bhata Tota, dramaturgy. Except Abhinav's parents, his uncle Vanavagupta, our younger brother Manaradha, and 5 cousins Kshema, Utpala, Abhinava, Chakraka, and Padmagupta were the members of his family. His uncle Vamana was one of his teachers also, whose name is included in the list of his teachers. According to the reference found in Abhinava Bharati, probably he worked on this poetic. Maratha, his brother, was the highly learned Shula of all the scriptures, and favoring him, Abhinava admitted him his first pupil. If his cousin Kshema is to consider it as Kshemaraja, the composer of Spandana and other books regarding Shaivism and others, classes with him be also accepted to have had more or less simple qualities. His cousin brothers also seem to have been very well educated. Whatever may be about their education and qualification, but this is beyond bound, that they accepted devotion to the Lord Shiva above all the worldly things and all their wealth just like the grass. And so the atmosphere of his family was fully spiritual and well educated. In such type of spiritual and educated environment, Abhinav passed his childhood for the growth of a very healthy and well-oriented brain and a spirit required for the most significant work that he had to complete. He deeply loved his mother. She was the only person who made home atmosphere full of sweetness for Abhinava. But unfortunately, like other mortal creatures of the world, or as Abhinava accepted it, fortunately she went in heaven while Abhinava was a mere child. So the most of its attachment in home for him ended, but not all, because his father was still alive. But soon after his mother's death, renouncing the world, his father too became an ascetic while he was still young. Both of these incidents happened while he was engaged in study of literature. Those events changed his mind from all the worldly things to worship of Lord Shiva, and so he decided not to marry in the whole of his life. Thus the period of his literary activity and life in home came to an end. Then was a great turning point of his life. From the time to satisfy his hunger for knowledge, he began to recite in the house of his teachers related to the Agams. And the result is that he wrote the Tantra Yoga, which is the encyclopedia of Tantric literature. Abhinavagupta was very much helped by the gifts of nature and a supportable circumstance in fully preparing himself for the worldly known work that he was born to accomplish. The great and healthy lineage and religious chain of his family, without gaping for over 2 centuries, the noble and highly educated life of his father and completely religious life of his mother, his excellent education, his great practice in different types of tantric practice, his learning with so many scholars of various subjects in both of the places on side of Kashmir Valley, his unending energy and untiring efforts and their fruition in scholastic achievements, and his great sacrifice of all the luxuries of worldly life above all of them together provided him such type of mental and spiritual power and made his pain so much strong that even nowadays he is considered the supreme and non-dualistic Shaivism in both of the fields, its rituals and philosophies, as well as on the principle of poetics of rasa and Fani. Preparing himself in such way, he studied his wife for life's work at a enough mature age about his contribution to the Indian philosophical literature, though simply people know him only as a commentator of the poetic, is not a result of short secluded plays, as so many people think, but a record of personal experience, achieved through several experiments of yoga. Took on 4 years. If we attentively study even some available works out of many others that his super strong pen produced, we can recognize the successive steps in his spiritual achievements. Capably, he worked on the schools of Shaiva philosophical literature, namely the Krama, the Kua, and the Trika. Pratyabhijna philosophy is only a branch of the Trika. When his mind of all sudden changed to the worship of Lord Shiva from the literature studying, Lakshman Gupta was the first teacher who intellectually satisfied him by intellectual closet in the form of an exposition of Pratyabhijna philosophy. Krama philosophy was taught to Abhinava also by him. Adinatha has stated that after a long controversial analysis in his Tantra Yoga's commentary, there is enough proof to rely on that he at first learned Krama philosophy. In any of case, the earliest soul of the Krama stotra, which has already been discussed in the early pages regarding the description of Abhinava's time, it is a clear good evidence of his having first attempted his spiritual experiments according to his guidance of Krama system. The attempt was not quite unsuccessful, because in the Kamakkhya, which is perhaps the first known work of Hinama on the Krama philosophy, is his defense of his spiritual greatness of the time to the teachings of Krama system. But Abhinava was not fully satisfied of this result, and then he tried another school of Shaiva philosophy, namely the Trika, but the result was the same like the same of Krama system. At last he attains complete satisfaction and the supreme place through the teachings and the several yogic practice under the direction of his the best known teacher of Kaulic philosophy, the Samkhunatha of John Haram. He because of this has paid the most grand tribute to Samkhunatha and his works than among the many others. Abhinavagupta has realized himself with all-inclusive universal consciousness, Paramashiva or Paramachaitanya. And that became possible only because of the teaching of Samkhunatha, as he self states in his introduction to Tantra Yoga in the following line. The Paramadhasara and the commentary of Yogaraja on this both of the works describe in very clear tone about the spiritual greatness of Abhinavagupta before he stated, composing his more significant books. It seems that Pandits of Kashmir have traditional faith that Abhinavagupta was the incarnate of Bhairava. Abhinavagupta's miraculous powers, the nature of human being is to be always the same over. So we need not to astonish on the doubtful eyes through which the present sees at each claim to personal spiritual highness, especially because so many impostors are there outside the country now. Also, on the period of Abhinavagupta, the people did not face very simply in any such type of claim. So that was not without any cause, as the tradition of literature tells that the people relied on Abhinavagupta as the incarnation of Bhairava. Just as the people of present time attained enlightenment would not accept the claim of somebody to realization of entity with the Almighty till when he should show the almightiness of himself. So did not the people of Abhinavagupta times. In accordance with the Sri Purva Shastra, he himself has given 5 accurate signs of such type of a person, which can be mentioned in a brief as answering worship to the Rudra, mantra siddhi, controlling power of all these things, capability of accomplish the wanted end, sudden dawning of the knowledge of all the books. Thus, we come to know from Jaradha, whose statement is based upon the authority of his teacher, whose sloka he takes in the quotation, that the contemporaries of the Abhinavagupta received all of the above-mentioned signs accurately existing in him. This was the mystery of the Abhinavagupta grand effects with the people of his time and of the great success as an author in the both of the field, the Shaiva philosophy and the poetic equality. Abhinavagupta in fact worked under divine inspiration, which seems to be referred by himself when he opens in Tantra Yoga that recalling to his mind the different books, about which he had studied with his very capable teachers. He authored in the Tantra Yoga. Just to be noted here that he had no library to refer the books from which he so extensively quotes. The authorities' references are so many and so correctly quoted that reader is silent to consider that so vast and fully correct reference without the assistance of any book or able subject-related authority out of approach of human power, and could be possible only because of his divine force. And Abhinavagupta disciples has described the pen style of his teacher in his book Dhyana Shloka, which contains 4 shlokas. This pen style is so extensively perfect that an artist may be capable to brush it with powerful colors. The description is given in studying of this book. The translation of this into English may be done as: the splendid god Dakshinamurti in the Abhina's form, who is an incarnation of Srikantha and has come to Kashmir out of extreme sympathy, may defend us. His both of the eyes are rolling with a supreme spiritual pleasure. His lines are sketched of ashes, bhasma, in the middle of his forehead. Because of the Rudraksha, his ears are beautiful to look out. His exuberant hair is confitted with a chaplet of flowers. His neck is black shining to look at because of besmearing the past, prepared by the mixture of musk, sandal, camphor, and saffron. His Yajna Pavitra sacred thread is long and loosely cleft. He has part on silken white clothes just like the moon's ray, and is sitting in Yogic posture known as Vira, on a soft stuffed bag spread over a throne made of gold, adorned with a slender rope of pearls, in the spacious main room of the house, which was full of crystal, beautifully adorned with the paintings, scented very sweet because of the garlands and incense and lamp, scented with the sandal, permanently echoing with the vocal instrumental music and dance, and surrounded with the male and female ecstatic or acquainted spiritual power in the middle of winery. All his disciples attend him. Shimraja is one of them. All of them are sitting with the fully concentrated mind in his lotus feet and noting all that he utters. 2 deities, female messengers, are stood individually in both of his sides, each of them having a jar full of water, trickled down in drop from the drain, drenched for 3 nights, and a box full of battles in the right hand, a big lemon and a flower of lotus in the left. The rosary of Rudraksha put on his right hand is touching his thigh, and his fingers are in such an indicative position as to hold the ultimate reality. He is playing upon the veena, which is fully capable in producing the original music sound. The nada by the nails tip of the lotus left hand. At the time for a while he began to compose his book, namely the Ishvara Pratyabhijna Riti Vimarshini, had become Jivana Mukta. He himself states in studying all his above-mentioned books that his present body is the last terrestrial existence. This chart seems to be very clear from his statement in various stotras composed by himself, when he says to himself as Jivan Mukta. For example, in the 10th sloka, in the 3rd sloka of Paramartha Dvadashika and Abhuvana Nivedana respectively, as follows. About the 2 stotras, namely the Krama and Bhairava, we have already stated in deciding the date of Abhinavagupta. Here it may be noted in connection with the Bhairava stotras that in families of all Pandits of Kashmir there are traditions still current which states that Abhinav, while entering the Bhairava cave for his last samadhi, was chanting this stotra. In stotra he shows that the helper deities of Shiva stated in the Puranas are found associated with him even when he is in the body as a limited self. Also in the latter case the names and forms are different, yet their function are the same. For example, he is told to have gotten 2 doorkeepers, namely the Ganesha and Batuka in the Puranas. They go with him even when he assumes a limitation as an individual to guard 2 of the 9 doors of the body. Certainly in this case they are spoken as prana and apana. As regards the Abhinavana Nivedana stotra, it may be said here that our attribution to this to Abhinava is based on the authority of a tradition. We have not been capable so far in any respect, as internally or externally, any literature evidence to support it. Nothing says the colophon about its authorship. Unlikely, whatever has been written till now, there is no other authority for us than that of tradition, and which we will mention in further few sentences. Till the present time we could not be able to recognize any writing authority upon which it may be firstly based. This tradition is not prevalent only in old Pandita families, but also in some old Muslim homes. In the place where this event took place, states that one day, having completed his work, Abhinavagupta, as he thought, along with his 1,200 people, went into the Bhairava cave and never returned. Then cave even now exists there. It is about 5 miles from the Magama, a place midway between Srinagar and Gulmurga. A village extremely near to this cave and a small river running down below the hill where the cave exists. Both of them are called by the name of Bhairava. The mouth of cave is at enough great height from the bottom of the hill, and from below seems like a cleft in a rock. It runs deep down to the surface of the earth. Its hole is so narrow that a man can enter into it very easily. At the side of a small opening and dug deep hole immediately one face of entering. One can walk but to crawl into this, and that too at same place with much problem. It has several paths leading to place where one can sit, concentrate and meditate. Among these places one is big enough spaciously to accommodate 40 or 50 men. This shapely round and a great height there is crack towards the sky, but it does not permit to the sun's rays to penetrate so far into the cave as to be perceived by the person within. Far into the cave a hole was pointed out, through which no other body child can find a passage, and it was thought that Abhinava entered through this way. It was also said by the guides that the hole was much larger in early times, who took Dr. After all, under the effect of geographical changing, the hole slowly becomes smaller with the passing times. Outside of this opening on the rock walls, there seems to inscribe some things by a very sharp instrument, but it's impossible to say at present what is this. This is quite possible that the upper layers of the rock may have got so cracked as to seem like inscribed with figures and letters. A Mohammedan fortunately met who was fully religious, long-bearded, bent and of very old age, walking slow, reclining at his slender stick, taught only this. I listened from my grandfather that Brahmachari entered all along with his 1200 pupils but never returned. I entered the cave with some of his disciples and never came back. It's quite true. For the simple cause that to retire from the noise of the world to some inaccessible place to take samadhi seems to be the natural termination of the worldly life of passing like Bhairava incarnate Abhinavagupta Padacharya. Annutarastika stotra. The name of this stotra is Annutarastika because it contains 8 verses and the Annuttara element is described herein. Thus, Annuttara Tattva is known as the Paramashiva of the monistic Kashmir Shaivism philosophy, like that of Brahma of monistic Vedanta philosophy. Bhairava incarnate Abhinavagupta Padacharya has composed such philosophical stotra which are also full of feeling of devotion. This is the ultimate limit of knowledge, the supreme trust and to all-inclusive universal consciousness, beyond which nothing exists. The whole world, entire knowledge, ignorance and all these things are the manifestation of his design only. This stotra says that the phenomenon of the entire world is not different from the highest reality, which is called Anuttara. It is also explained that the realization of the highest reality is the only way to salvation. Hence the world is neither transmigration, nor recollection, nor narrative argument, nor description, no invitation, no fixation of mind on the point, nor for to practice of japa. Then what is to be done? Tell certainly, listen to that ultimate trust, do not become renunciating, nor hazard beholder, enjoy happily, or being in your natural condition. The world does not exist really for human beings, and what to be said about bondage. One who is never in bondage, for him the liberated one, the food for liberation is false. This illusion, just like snake and rope or devil and shadow, is caused by false attachment. Neither abandon anything nor take enjoy living in yourself in natural condition. The system of difference like worship, worshipper and worshipable, and discussion about Anuttara is useless. The transmigration of what, by which, and who is the doer of it, and who is the procedure of entrance. This is Maya, which is not other than the non-dual ultimate consciousness. All is neat and clean because of being indifferent of self-realization and self-natural condition. Therefore, do not be anxious in vain. Here is the bliss neither like the intoxication caused by wells of wine, nor like that of copulation with women. The rise of light is not like the showering of glow caused by lamp, the sun, the moon. Exhilaration here is born of the pleasure of sun, the moon, freedom from adopted differentiation. It is just like the taking of the weight. This rise of light is of realization of no due thought, like achievement of forgotten treasure. These thoughts like attraction and repulsion, pleasure and pain, beginning and end, pride and grief, which rise in the mind, are not different nature from the universal self. The investigation of different things which you realize silently by all that having observed identical to some weight. Why don't you enjoy being dependent upon the recollection of that? Here in the world all the things are ascendantly born of previous nihilism. The things which take mixed shape in the middle, neither in the beginning nor in the end, how can they be true? When this universal phenomenon is untrue, momentary, elusive like dream, false tempting regarding this universe, go beyond the practice of argument, which is full of the spot of terror, doubtful, and be awakened. There is no natural birth of these things, these manifest beings sought by you. Even so, they are untrue, yet due to the sought illusion, they become true for a moment. This grandeur of the universe is born of your sought construct, as a birth is not from somewhere else. That is why you, even so in single in one, manifest many in the world, due to our splendor. This, the true and true, the little and much, the eternal and non-eternal, the impure due to mind, impure due to self, whatsoever reflects in the mirror of consciousness. All that is identical to the life of form due to the rise of Sangit of self-awareness. Having realized it like this, you became glorious being, accomplish it with self-realization, and enjoy the lordship of the universe. Thus the Annutarastika of Abhinavagupta Life comes to an end.